property in Florida.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's that sums up his view. Yeah.
His view is
okay, we were planning on streaming Tarkov, but some other things that are more important are happening.
All right, not only is that incredibly stupid, not only is that in defiance of what the entire scientific community believes, it's worse than that. Because let's be clear,
I forgot they could see me.
If he is elected, the struggle...
Pokey keeps interrupting the fucking stream. Shut up, woman! She was talking over the host as Bernie came in. Bernie started his speech immediately with, this is a serious election, and here's why you should vote for Harris.
Every other major country on earth will
I will not vote for somebody who wasn't even elected by their own party. Let's listen to him keep talking.
I have 4 kids, 7 grandchildren. I worry very, very deeply what kind of planet you and your kids will be inheriting if Trump gets elected and we give up the struggle to transform our energy system and lose the fight against climate change. And then there's another issue. I mean, all of you
climate change. Yeah,
that
climate is
the United States of America
causing a greening of the planet.
Women,
the fossil fuels we're burning is putting CO2 in the atmosphere, and farmers are able to grow more food.
That women had the right to vote in national
In my state, they're thinking of putting this CO2 gas into the ground.
They wanted to be a construction worker, unheard.
They're going to get it there by a pipeline.
You wanted to be an engineer, that's not what
these pipelines they've built, some of them have already exploded, causing
to break down barrier after barrier,
deaths in local communities, as carbon dioxide gas is a heavy, low-laying gas,
there are 100 people in the U.S.
and when you concentrate it and move it through this pipeline that now bursts, anybody in that valley gets no oxygen.
Process, the economic process, women have made huge gains. And the most significant gain that women have made,
so concentrated they get carbon dioxide poisoning.
The most significant.
Normally, the problem is like carbon monoxide. You're in a garage with a car that's running, and then there's no ventilation, something like that. Now, this is the stuff that we breathe out of our mouths. This is the things that plants turn into sugar with sunlight in their chloroplasts.
To me, this is a no-brainer.
And the elevated levels of carbon dioxide. That is the result of man-made energy consumption and burning of fuels.
What the political scientists tell us
is resulting in the greening of the planet.
Is the most progressive generation probably in the history of younger generation in the history of this country.
And the rich can't have it.
It has led the fight against racism, against sexism, against homophobia.
They won't stand for it.
Transform our energy system, take on climate change. That's what this younger generation has done. But there's something else about this younger generation. They vote in significantly lower numbers than older people do. So all I would say is if you are concerned about democracy, if you're concerned about women's rights, if you're concerned about climate change,
the reason why young people don't vote,
if you're concerned about economic justice,
is because they realize
the need to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. The need to get big money out of politics.
It doesn't affect the same outcome. It doesn't affect the outcome. The outcome's the same with either party. We have a two-party duopoly. We have four fathers warned us could kill our republic.
Among younger people, and I hope people have the wisdom to vote for Kamala. So that's my speech. I'm sticking to it.
You're wise if you vote for a person that was never elected by their own party. They were installed.
I understand that now you're going to give us an opportunity. We can ask you some questions. Is that right?
Democracy's on the ballot.
Thank you so much. Well, look, Senator Sanders, and I'm going to say this out to the audience. If you have a question for Senator Sanders, please feel free to put it in the chat.
I want to punch my freaking monitor.
We'll go ahead and ask it. Senator Sanders, I'd like to start off by
just
asking
the lack of social skills these
to a
people
lot of the folks
have
that are watching today. Our community, a lot of communities across the website have been calling for a ceasefire and an end to the to Israel's actions in Gaza, and I understand you share this position as well.
I don't recognize
a lot of folks have been opposed to the Biden-Harris administration's military and financial support of Israel. We know that you've been opposed as well, but you're supporting the ticket. So we want to know, can you talk about why you're supporting her given your opposition to the Gaza stance?
All right. That's a very important question. Thanks for asking.
So I guess Bernie has a pro-peace Gaza stance?
A year ago, October 7th, Hamas, which is a terrible terrorist organization, waged a horrific attack against Israel, killed 1,200 innocent men, women, and children, took several hundred hostages. In my view, Israel, like any other country, had the right to defend itself against Hamas.
Against the organization that it created and funded for 20 years.
Palestinian people. And that is what Israel, under a very right-wing government led by Prime Minister Netanyahu, that is what they have done. The result of that all-out war against the Palestinian people in Gaza has been killing 42,000 people out of a population of 2.2 million. 2/3.
Netanyahu's been planning this shit for 20 years. He's got the maps drawn out. You can look up
wounded, injured,
New Israel.
Again, 2/3 women, children, and the elderly. They have destroyed
Greater
the healthcare
Israel
system in Gaza. They have bombed every university in Gaza, destroyed the infrastructure.
You can look at Netanyahu's plan for a greater Israel. They are putting it on their patches of their military, and they are invading other countries, baby. And they're doing it with American weapons.
That is what is even worse. As a result of Israel under Netanyahu blocking humanitarian aid, today we're looking at thousands and thousands of children suffering from malnutrition and facing starvation. Now, as it happens, that is grossly immoral, unacceptable, and it is against the law. The United States of America, by law, cannot be funding a government which is denying humanitarian aid to civilians. So what we are doing right now is illegal, in my view, and that's why,
the shit that we've been doing has been illegal for 20 plus years.
Military aid to the Israeli government for offensive weapons. They have a right to defend themselves.
The reason why young people vote is those that have been paying attention.
When Congress reconvenes after the election,
have known
I will have the
this bullshit has been this bullshit just didn't start happening.
Where we will have a vote.
It's been ongoing
to deny Israel being able to buy U.S. military equipment. So, I agree very much with people who are terribly concerned about what's going on there. Now,
what about Ukraine, too? People are worried about Ukraine.
I was just with the president today. I think on domestic issues, he has
That's
been
another
very,
war
very
that should
strong.
be stopped.
I think on this issue,
immediately,
he is dead wrong. And I have talked to him over and over again. But all I would say to people say, well, I can't vote for Harris because I disagree with her on Israel and Gaza. Trump on even this issue is worse. He is worse. He is more pro-Netanyahu than Biden.
Their
and Harris
shit sandwich tastes even worse.
When it comes
this is
to humanitarian aid,
these people have to offer
children, we can't get any Republican support in the United States Senate. So if we elect Harris, what you have my word on is I'm going to do everything I can to turn that view around. We do not need to be providing more offensive military aid.
I got an idea. How about you don't endorse the person that doesn't adopt your view
than under Donald Trump?
I will work with anyone to do good, but no one to do evil.
That provided a lot of clarity. I'd like to move into something that affects a lot of Americans, and it's minimum wage. And you and I both know that the minimum wage has not been increased, the federal minimum wage has not been increased in quite some time. Can you talk about how improving or increasing the minimum wage would help improve people's lives?
Well, Austin, that's a very, very good question. And I want everybody to hear this because it's not talked about terribly much in the corporate media. But the reality is today we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had in the history of this country. People on top are doing phenomenally well.
Trump is to blame.
While 60 million
some
people
of this
are living paycheck to paycheck. I grew up
in
a family
George Bush, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris.
Are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay the rent, to pay
trillions of dollars we're printing to spend on these wars
an extremely
that are continuously ongoing.
Life. In the midst of that,
the amount of debt per individual American is going to exceed $100,000 very soon.
Embarrassingly low, $7.25 an hour. What we have got to do, among many other things,
is stop printing money. $35.7 trillion we are in debt. debt per citizen has exceeded $100,000. It's now 105, and man, is it climbing fast.
It's not that
your children have no future in this country, ladies and gentlemen. None.
But you have millions of people working for $9, $10, $12 an hour. And you tell me, whether you're in New York City or in rural America, you can't make it on $12 an hour. You just can't. So it seems to me that if people are going to work 40 hours a week, they should not be living in poverty. Now, the difference here, you may have seen the other day, Donald Trump was in McDonald's doing what he was doing. Yes. Flipping hamburgers or whatever he was doing.
Yeah. I didn't see that.
And somebody reported, a reporter said to him, Mr. Trump, what's your view on the minimum wage? And then he completely...
The debt per taxpayer exceeds $270,000. What's the medium housing?
Truth is, you got thousands of McDonald's workers and millions of other workers trying to get by 12, 13, 14
in
bucks
the
an hour.
U.S.
I believe we should raise the minimum wage to 17 bucks an hour. Kamala Harris
believes above 400,
that we should raise it to at least $15 an hour. If you raise it to 15 bucks an hour, not enough.
If not now, very soon.
We can take millions, we can help the lives.
You think your children will ever be able to own a home?
Trump does not believe we should raise the minimum wage. Kamala,
at the rate that we are going?
At least is what I think she said. So we're going to work on her to get it even higher than that. That's a real difference between the two candidates.
Thank you, Senator Sanders, for your answer. Right now, Senator, we have a YouTuber that's going to be a guest, and they'd like to ask you a question. Her name is Kamal.
Bills, ladies and gentlemen.
Was taken. Kamal, are you with us? There we are. There they are. Hey, Kamal, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Can't do it forever.
Good. Senator Sanders is here for you, and he's eager to answer your question.
Okay. Okay. Am I on camera?
You are. We see you perfectly.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Hi, Senator Sanders. Sanders, first off, thank you so much for doing this. My hand is literally shaking. I'm talking to a celebrity. Obviously, Donald Trump has a lot of weirdo billionaire backers. People like Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Mr. Dark MAGA himself. I have a lot of family who are strong Trump supporters, but also care deeply about things like Social Security. So what would you tell my family
that he's endorsed on
to convince them that Trump's plans of all these tax cuts for billionaires, how would you convince them that this is actually not in their best
What did she do when she lost? She got together with
when Trump was president,
the CIA.
I think if he were on the show, he would tell you that his proudest achievement was the tax cuts that he implemented.
Lie about
right.
And they were huge. 83% of them went to the top 1%.
Right.
Well, I am guessing that your family, maybe I'm wrong, is probably not in the top 1%.
They're definitely not. The definition of middle class.
Okay. So we don't need, at a time when the rich are doing phenomenally well, more tax breaks for the rich. What do we need? We need to strengthen Social Security. I believe, that we should expand Social Security benefits. What I will tell you is that 80% of the Republicans in the House of Representatives think we should cut Social Security. They think we should move to the privatization of Medicare. So if you believe that we should keep Medicare and Social Security strong, I do not think it's wise to be voting for Donald Trump. If you think we should raise the minimum wage, you should not be voting for Trump. If you believe that health care is a human right, when Trump was president, he tried to end the Affordable Care Act.
I think
now, I'm not a great fan of the Affordable Care Act, but it is providing health care to millions of Americans. I think we got to move to Medicare for all.
Americans by,
but please tell your family that Trump's main concern is protecting the interest of the billionaire class.
All citizens
he could care less about the middle class.
We pay less on average than what we currently are.
Thank you. I will relay the message.
For-profit insurance between us and our
Thanks very much, Kamal. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamal.
To have the medical procedures
I appreciate it. Thank you, Senator Sanders. I believe we do have some other guests that are ready to ask some questions, but I'll ask a question here on a different topic. And it's one that you're very familiar with and you've been fighting for quite some time. And we collectively thank you for that. How do you feel about the current state of healthcare? Do you think do you think everyone has access to the care they need, or is more change necessary? I mean, I think know the answer.
Talk
But
about that.
Austin, thanks for that question, because again, it is not discussed very much in the corporate media or in the halls of Congress.
No, they got plenty.
Under Obama, we passed the Affordable Care Act, which expanded coverage to a whole lot of people, and that's a good thing. But it doesn't get to the root of our problem right now. I don't know how many of the viewers know that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child as a human right. Do you all know that?
Sad.
I am right now in Burlington, Vermont, 50 miles away from the Canadian border. If you go up to Canada, a country very much like the United States, since the 1970s, they have had a system in which if you end up in the hospital for 2 weeks, you don't come out with a $100,000 bill or whatever. There is no bill. It is publicly funded. They spend half as much per person as we do. Because, let me ask you this. Anyone want to jump in? What is the function of the American healthcare system? Is it to provide quality care to all people? Or is it to what do you think it is, Austin?
I mean, I would assume it's a for-profit industry
why our chronic
for
disease is
health
through the roof.
Insurance companies.
RFKs make
That's what it
America
is.
Healthy again.
Everybody knows that.
Movement.
And here's the result.
I do not.
The result is the pharmaceutical industry makes
like
tens and tens of billions of dollars a year, charging us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs.
But
Now, by the way, under Biden and Harris,
I'm just
and I
going to
just
still
did
be
an
voting for
event
him
with the
because I
president
can't
in
bring
Concord, New
myself
Hampshire
to
today.
vote for Trump.
We have made some progress
If I voted
in
for him
lowering
the
the
first
cost of
time,
prescription drugs. Made some real
I would
progress.
have felt like a chump.
But we still pay by far the
I
highest
would've felt
prices
like a
in the
chump
world
pretty quick.
for prescription drugs.
After he invaded Syria.
Our system is designed to make profits not
Bill
only
Nye
for
ran
the
in general.
drug companies, but the insurance companies as well. That's what the system is about, and it's working. But meanwhile, we have 85 million
Didn't put
people
Hillary Clinton in prison.
uninsured or underinsured, and I suspect many of the viewers today
If
may
Hillary were
have
in
health
prison,
insurance,
I probably
but they
would vote
have
for Trump.
deductibles of $5,000,
Because we
$10,000,
need to put these
and they can't
criminals in
afford to go
prison.
to the doctor because they don't have the money to pay out of pocket.
Instead, who's in
So
prison?
the bottom line
The
here
journalists
is the
exposing
current
their
system
crimes.
is
Julian
broken,
Assange, how
it is
long
dysfunctional, it
was
is
he in?
cruel. 60,000 people a year die because they don't get to the
Asylum?
doctor when they should. So my own view is we should look at the rest of the
Because our government
industrialized
can't
world.
handle
They
the
manage to
truth.
guarantee health care to all as a human right. We should do the
They
same.
can't
I'm
handle
leading the
it.
effort of what we call Medicare for all, to expand Medicare, not just to the elderly, but to every man, woman, and child in this country.
It's insane to me that we live in the United States of America. This is the state of our healthcare. I went to an emergency room, Senator Sanders, in Florida, had a minor procedure done, $10,000 bill, surprise medical bill. It happens to folks, I'm sure, every single day. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. And Austin, you know what the story is?
Mm.
You say that, and people say, "Oh my
I'm a
God, I don't
perfectly
feel
healthy
well.
guy.
I need to go to the emergency room." I'm not going to go to the emergency room.
Suddenly,
Yes.
$8,000.
I'm not even going to get in an ambulance because it could cost me a couple of $1,000. It is
Yes.
an
Luckily, I have good
insane
insurance.
system. It
Yes.
is a cruel.
My
Give you
out-of-pocket
one
is
other
still
fact on this.
$500.
You're
That's
getting
more
me
than
going.
most
Here we
people
go.
have
No,
saved
it's okay. It's okay.
for an emergency.
I want you to hear this.
You're getting me going.
You know, somebody comes down with cancer. Think about it. You're fighting for your life. You don't know if you're going to live or not. Turns out that 25% of the people who have cancer treatment, have had cancer treatment, either go bankrupt or deplete their family's financial resources. So you are struggling with cancer, you're dealing with chemotherapy, you don't know whether you're going to live or die, blah, 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 blah. And then you got to worry
Which is why I can't.
about whether your family is going
I
to be
can't vote for the
financially
party
ruined.
that
For
gave us
what?
Obama.
Because you
One
came
out
down
of
with a terrible
4.
disease. It is
Obama
vulgar, it is
brought
disgusting,
to
it
our
is not
nation
worthy
the same
of the
healthcare
wealthiest
plan that Mitt
nation
Romney did to
on
his
earth.
state.
So, you know, you got Trump out there
That was his running
who,
opponent in
when
the,
he was
general
president,
election.
tried to
He
kill
beat
the
him.
Affordable Care Act, make a bad
We
situation
still
worse.
ended up with the exact same
Kamala is going to protect
healthcare
that at least. She's going to lower the cost of
as what
prescription
would have
drugs.
been
Major
implemented
problem.
under Mitt Romney.
But overall, we have got to
Because that's who
continue the
Barack
effort
Obama is.
to make sure that every man, woman, and child in this
Black Mitt
country has
Romney.
health care as a human right and not a system which simply allows for huge profits for the drug companies and the insurance companies.
Senator Sanders, thank you so much. We have another guest here to ask, I believe, one final question for you. His name is Mark Hamill. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you. We're all huge fans. And I understand you have a question for Senator Sanders.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's a great honor.
Oh my God, they waved back to me.
He's going to talk over him too.
All my adult life, and I'm grateful for his service. Now, when it comes to the question, I'm sure we all saw the stunt that Trump pulled yesterday at a closed restaurant with people hired to play customers and work at McDonald's.
I didn't know.
I noticed when he was asked whether they should raise the minimum wage in regards to workers like that in fast food restaurants. He avoided the question entirely. He didn't even attempt to answer it. Now, the minimum wage hasn't been raised in decades. You probably know better than I think, maybe 2000.
Oh, I do. Yep.
Okay, well, basically, I just want to hear your thoughts on all that I just put forward.
Okay, very briefly, we talked about it a moment ago, but bottom line is you're quite right, Mark. Trump ducked the issue, despite the fact that there are thousands of McDonald's workers trying to get by on 12 or 13 bucks an hour, and millions of American workers. All right, Trump does not believe that we should raise the federal minimum wage, which is now $7.25 an hour. That's horrific. Kamala Harris believes that we should raise it to at least $15 an hour, which means that many millions of workers will get a substantial pay raise. So it is a very, very important issue, and one that I feel passionately about. I happen to believe the minimum wage should be at least 17 bucks an hour. Kamala thinks at least 15. We will discuss that, but at least we've got to raise that to a livable wage and not have Trump's position that leaves it at 7.25.
It's not good. It's not good.
Thank you. And I personally worked at McDonald's. I've never put it on my resume.
Or natural animal fat.
It was interesting because when I first worked at McDonald's, I was living at home, and it was just pure profit. Fast forward to working at Jack in the Box when I was in my first year of college, and I couldn't live on that then. That was 50 years ago. So
that's right. And people can't. And by the way, they can't if they don't get the health insurance they get. Is pathetic as well.
Exactly.
So it is. Look, it's an embarrassment that you have a so-called billionaire like Trump who doesn't think that we should raise the minimum wage above $7.25 an hour.
Oh my God.
All right. With that, Austin, I think I'm going to have to run.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you all very much for what you're doing, guys. This is an enormously important election. Let's get everybody out to vote. Let's win this thing for Kamala. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernie.
Thank you, Senator Sanders, for your time. Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Well, that was amazing. Mark, do you have a few moments to sit and chat with us?
Sure. What's going on?
Hi, Mark.
Well, Mark, is this your first time on Twitch?
Well,
I think so.
Well, welcome. Give him a round of applause. There's a lot of people watching right now.
Fortnite by any chance?
Wasn't planning on it. What?
No, I'm going to go do a fundraiser for Democrats.
That's amazing.
With gamers, and I have to tell them in advance.
We love you.
I haven't played games since my kids were small. I know. It's terrible, but I mean, it's the same with Star Wars. I haven't seen those movies since they first came out. I don't go back and watch them again. So these people will come up to me and ask me these questions, and they've seen those movies far more times than I have, far more recently than I have. And they play the games, they read the comics, they read the novels. One guy was saying to me, when you went to the Wookiees' home planet, I said, wait a minute, did we go to the Wookiees' home planet? Well, it wasn't in a movie. It was in Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Oh, it's a novel by Harry Dean Foster. Again, I mean, I disappoint fans because they know more about it than I do.
No, you're never a disappointment. Also, if you ever want to learn, it would be easy. So just know it's always at your disposal,
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Mark, again, it's amazing. So you're doing a fundraiser. Where are you doing the fundraiser at?
I might check that out.
Well, I've been accepting any Zoom that they request. So I've done it for Colin Allred and Ruben Gallego and Gloria Johnson, Debbie Mucarsel-Powell.
But yeah,
what a nice guy. Like, that is a lot of his time, man.
Some people
and on and on. Because I feel like that's the least.
They have Trump derangement syndrome. And they can't see how us young people we're waking up and we're not falling into the same trap of the system. So, fuck them.